A real waffle cone is one of the simplest treats on earth. Eggs, butter, sugar, flour, and a little vanilla pressed on a hot iron until it's golden and crisp. So why does the waffle cone in that box from the grocery store contain no butter, no eggs, a couple of cheap vegetable oils, artificial flavor, and a coloring chemical to fake that toasted look? And get this, the company that bakes most of America's grocery store cones cranks out more than 2 billion of them a year. A lot of them built on modified palm oil and artificial flavoring instead of a real batter. So today we're walking through 6 ice cream cone brands you should skip, and 3 that are actually real waffle cones. If you're tired of being lied to, smash subscribe. You're going to want to share this one. Here's the thing about waffle cones. The real ones are basically a thin, crisp waffle. And a waffle is made of eggs, butter, milk, sugar, and flour. That's where the flavor comes from. The butter browning, the egg crisping, the sugar caramelizing on a hot iron. You can smell a real one being pressed from across an ice cream shop. But butter and eggs are expensive and they don't sit on a shelf for a year. So the big cone makers swap them out. Out goes the butter, in comes modified palm oil and soybean oil. Out goes the egg, in comes soy lecithin. And because oil and refined flour don't brown into that rich color on their own, in goes caramel coloring and artificial flavor to fake what real ingredients would have done. The words that tell you you're holding a fake are vegetable oil shortening, artificial flavor, and caramel color. Once you spot them, the cone aisle splits in 2. Let's name names. Number 6 is the one that's barely food at all. The cake cone, also called the wafer cone. It's that pale, light, hollow cup with the flat bottom. The kind of scoop shop hands a little kid so they can set it down. Look at the ingredient list and there's almost nothing there, in a way that isn't a compliment. Enriched flour, a little oil, sometimes a coloring called annatto, and not much else. There's no butter, no egg, and frankly no flavor. It tastes like a faint sweetened foam cup. It won't hurt you, and it does the basic job of holding a scoop. But if you think you're getting a treat, you're getting a container. The cake cone is the cardboard box of the ice cream world. Number 5 is the crunchy one most people actually like. The sugar cone, the darker, pointed one with the waffle-looking pattern. Brands like Joy and Keebler make the ones in your grocery store. And here's where the swaps start showing up. Look at the ingredient list. After enriched flour and brown sugar, you'll find vegetable oil shortening, usually some mix of canola, modified palm and soybean oil, plus artificial flavor and caramel color. No butter, no eggs anywhere on the list. That caramel color is worth a word. It's there purely to make a pale oil and flour cone look toasted, and one common type carries a compound called 4-MEI that California has listed since 2011 as a possible carcinogen and slaps a warning on. The sugar cone is crunchy and fine, but its toasty brown look is paint, not baking. Number 4 is the imposter, the boxed waffle cone, the big one sold as the premium upgrade. This is the one that bothers me most because it's wearing the name of the real thing. It says waffle cone in big letters. It costs more than the others, so you assume it's the good stuff. Look at the ingredient list. Keebler, for instance, makes its waffle cones with enriched flour, sunflower oil, sugar, salt, and soy lecithin. And that's about it. No butter, no eggs, no milk. A real waffle cone is defined by butter and eggs, and this waffle cone has neither. It's a sugar cone in a fancier shape, sold at a premium. What makes this particularly cheeky is the price. You're paying the most for the cone that's pretending hardest to be homemade. The shape says waffle iron. The ingredients say factory. Number 3 is the one in the cheapest cart, the store brand cone like Walmart's Great Value, which is made for the retailer by the same giant cone company that supplies half the country. It's the bottom of the barrel on price and the ingredients match. Look at the list and it's the familiar lineup: modified palm oil, caramel color, artificial flavor, refined flour. You have no idea who baked it, the flavor is faint and waxy, and the only thing it really has going for it is that it's cheap. It's not dangerous, but it's the definition of getting what you pay for. A bland, oily, artificially colored cone with a logo you'll forget. You can do a lot better for a few cents more. If this is already saving you from a bad shop, do me a favor and hit subscribe. We publish one of these every week. Number 2 is the one dressed up to look fancy. The chocolate dipped cone with the dark coating around the rim and sometimes a layer inside to keep it from getting soggy. Sounds like an upgrade. Read the coating. It almost never says chocolate. It says chocolatey coating. or chocolate flavored, because real chocolate has to be made with cocoa butter, and this coating is made with palm oil or coconut oil and a little cocoa instead, which is cheaper and legally can't be called chocolate. So you've taken a fake cone and dipped it in fake chocolate. The real kickers is that the dip exists to make a cheap cone feel premium and charge you more for it. Bottom line, a fake chocolate shell on an oil and flour cone is two shortcuts stacked on top of each other, dressed up as a treat. And the worst of the bunch, number one, is the novelty cone aimed straight at kids. The rainbow cones, the sprinkle coated cones, the bright pink and blue ones. These take everything wrong with a cheap cone and then paint it. Look at the ingredient list, and on top of the usual oil, refined flour, and artificial flavor, you'll find a row of artificial dyes: red 40, yellow 5 and 6, blue 1, and very often titanium dioxide, a white pigment used to make the colors pop. Here's your overseas comparison. That titanium dioxide has been banned as a food additive across the European Union since 2022. And those same dyes carry a warning label over there about effects on children's attention, just not here. And here's the kicker. A real waffle cone is so simple you can press a batch at home from eggs, butter, sugar, flour, and vanilla on a cheap little iron. We'll put a recipe in the description. When a cone is oil, refined flour, and a rainbow of dyes built for a child's eyes, that's not a treat. It's a costume, and it's robbing you blind. Now the good news, because real waffle cones, the butter and egg kind, pressed crisp, absolutely still exist. Number 3 is the best one you can buy in a box, the Conery. It was started in 2014 by a woman named Christine Tonkinau in Brooklyn, who couldn't understand why ice cream had 100 gourmet flavors while the cone stayed a bland afterthought. Here's why it works. The Conery hand rolls its cones in small batches from a short real ingredient list: flour, sugar, and actual natural extracts, with no artificial flavor, no caramel color, and no preservatives. I'll be straight with you. Their cones are made with oil rather than butter, so they're vegan, not the classic butter and egg recipe, but they're a genuinely pressed, clean, real waffle cone, miles beyond anything else on a shelf. You'll find them at specialty markets, online, and at a lot of good scoop shops. They cost more than $1 a dozen bag, and they taste like someone actually cared. For a boxed cone, this is as real as it gets. Number 2 isn't a box at all. It's the freshly pressed waffle cone, the one a real ice cream shop makes on the spot. If you've ever walked into a scoop shop and smelled something warm, sweet, and toasty, that's a waffle iron pressing real batter, and your nose is telling you the truth. Here's why it works. A shop that presses its own cones is using actual batter: eggs, butter, sugar, flour, vanilla. Cook golden minutes before you eat it. That's the real thing. Warm, fragrant, crisp, with a buttery flavor no shelf-stable cone can fake. The cone becomes part of the dessert instead of a bland holder for it. So here's a simple rule when you're out for ice cream. Choose the shop that presses its own cones over the one pulling them from a wholesale box. And if this is useful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Your reward is the best cone most people forget to even pay attention to. And the best of the bunch, number 1, is the one you make yourself. And I promise it's easier than it sounds. A real homemade waffle cone is eggs or egg whites, sugar, melted butter, a splash of milk or cream, vanilla, flour, and a pinch of salt. That's the entire recipe. Here's why it works. You whisk that into a thin batter, pour a couple of spoonfuls onto a little waffle cone iron that costs about $30. Press it for a minute and roll the hot round around a cone form. 60 seconds later, you've got a warm, golden, genuinely buttery cone. The exact thing every brand on the skip list is faking with oil, dye, and caramel color. It's the real waffle cone in its purest form. Butter and eggs browned on a hot iron, nothing else. Make a stack on a Sunday afternoon, and a bowl of plain vanilla suddenly becomes the best dessert in the house. This is what all the others are pretending to be. The cone aisle is a battle between a real pressed waffle and a cheap wafer wearing its name, between butter, eggs, and a hot iron, and a factory mix of palm oil, refined flour, caramel color, and dye. On one side, edible packaging, fake chocolate, and rainbow cones built for a kid's eyes. On the other, a clean hand-rolled cone from Brooklyn, a fresh one pressed at a good scoop shop, and the buttery one you make in your own kitchen. Remember the worst of what we saw. A cone, that's oil and refined flour, painted with caramel color and dyes Europe won't allow. And remember the best, it's a real waffle, eggs and butter crisped on an iron. So here's the wisdom to take to the store. Turn the box over and read for two things, a real fat and a real egg. If you see butter and eggs, you found a real waffle cone. If you see vegetable oil shortening, artificial flavor, and caramel color, put it back. That's a wafer in a waffle costume. Drop the cone brand you still trust in the comments. We're building the list with you. Hit subscribe if this changed how you shop today. We'll see you in the next aisle.